Hello and welcome back to our Local to Global series here as we manage the Random Wrestling Revue in October of 1998 now. We've been going for over 3 years game time anyway, not in real time, obviously. Although, given how hard it is to grow a promotion in the game, could be that we are doing this for 3 years, this series. Who knows? Anyway, enough of that. We are moving on to our next event. We are in a good place at the moment financially. We still made a profit despite the signings of both Tom Zenk and Tito Santana to appear on the last show. And we're still in a profit making position. What that means is that I am now doubly motivated to find a new road agent. Before I do that, though, I am going to sign a couple of guys to the roster for the next show. The first one I'm going to sign is Gary Albright. So I've been thinking about, before I do this, I am going to check his schedule. That might be the thing that stops me from signing Gary Albright because he is with All Japan and his schedule is pretty heavy. So actually, I'm going to change my mind about that. We're going to have to find somebody in a similar mold. What I want to do here, reason I wanted to get Gary Albright is I'm looking for someone who's reasonably big, who can come in and be a kind of monster heel. I guess Abdullah the Butcher uh, could do it. I mean, he's 56 years old, so maybe not. And I think also for a family promotion, which is effectively what we are, that might be pushing it. I mean, Vader would be amazing, but he is probably a bit too much money to spend per show. So I'm gonna be looking for that. Terry Gordy, currently working for WWF, which I think could be a problem as well. Stan Hansen, 2,400 per show. Again, probably too much money. I'm happy for someone, over $1,000 per show, but perhaps not quite to the 2 grand level. I think that might be just a bit too much. How about One Man Gang, 38 years old, $270 per show. This might be the man for me. He's with ECW. He was in a tag team called the One Man Gang. Oh no, he split up with a partner who he was dating. Interesting. Okay, I just saw that in the news feed and I was like, "What's that about?" So One Man Gang's a legitimate possibility. Mike Awesome, 700 per show, probably also because of who he wrestles for. Yeah, he's not going to have much availability, so we're not going to bother with that one. So Matt Bloom, is that not A Train? It is, but he hasn't got a picture, which I'm disappointed with. Mark Henry. I mean, we could sign Mark Henry, $100 per show, unemployed at the moment. He walked out on BCW, though. That is perhaps not the best. Suggests that he's perhaps not that. Well, maybe there's issues with his personality. Not that that's maybe reflective in real life, but he's an option. But One Man Gang, I think, probably is my preferred option at the moment because this is a Mark Henry who's never worked a wrestling match, or not worked many wrestling matches anyway. Kamala, 45 years old, 1,400 per show. That's a lot of money for us to spend on him. Albright was just um, such a good option because he was really large, relatively large, but also like not that well known in the US. I mean, obviously he's known, but he's not like the most well known guy in the world in the US. So yeah, I'm really disappointed that we can't get him, or that it's not going to work out to have him in the company. It's not how I expected this episode to start. I've got to be honest. I've planned out what was going to take place at the next show, which we'll go into in a little bit. I was all ready to go for it, and then thought, oh, I should just check whether Albright can actually work enough shows for us. And it turns out that not really. I think it's between Mark Henry and One Man Gang. I'm tempted to go with Mark Henry simply because we're kind of, yeah, we are kind of, just in terms of bringing wrestlers that, oh, no, I'm going to go One Man Gang. I've changed my mind. I am going to go One Man Gang. One Man Gang is going to be the guy that I sign. He's a little bit more expensive, but absolutely within our affordable range. So One Man Gang is going to come in as one of our signings. Then the other person I'm going to sign is just going to be a sort of jobber, to be honest. So all I want here is somebody who's cheap. Ace Starling. That's just do Ace Starling. He's going to come in that was just something I wanted to do as well. So A Starting and One Man Gang are coming in, which is funny. I was thinking about this the other day, trying to figure out what I was going to do at this next show, and already when I had planned to bring in a jobber and Gary Albright, that was already significantly different than what I had originally written down for this show, and now it all changes again. I've got to create that show before I do anything else. So this is the new annual show that I want to put in place. It's Luck of the Draw. It's going to be an hour and a half. And I can't remember if I spoke about this or not on the last show. I think I did. But Luck of the Draw is effectively going to be a night where all the matches are drawn at random. I say they're drawn at random. I actually am not drawing them at random. My original plan was to just do legitimately a random drawing. But we don't want Saturday. We want Thursday, I think. We could do Friday, but Thursday's fine. Yeah, I did originally think about doing a sort of a random drawing for these matches, but then I thought actually, given how tightly I've got to try and book this company because of the ranking system, I'm not going to do that. That would probably be a mistake in that respect. So instead, I haven't randomly drawn them. But the kayfabe scenario here is that they'll be randomly drawn into these matches. And the reason for that mainly is that when I looked at the rankings, in fact, I'll show you the rankings now. Like Batista's the champion, and the three men who all have 7 points and are effectively the choice of number one contender at this moment are all heels, and so is Batista. And I just thought he's surrounded by heels. One of the reasons why I thought about turning him babyface, and I still have that potential to do that, was this very situation. But I thought, well, actually, if we put in the luck of the draw, a show that I've been thinking about for a long time anyway, then we can almost skip over the rules that we've put in place for ourselves with the rankings, because it will be randomly drawn. So it's the one time in the year where it doesn't matter that perhaps the person who gets the title has not got the most points. So that's A Starling. Still waiting for One Man Gang. WCW hostility. This is interesting. Sources tell us that the relationship between WCW and WWC is currently quite tense, with WCW officials said to be now quite hostile towards WCW or WWC. Sorry, and this is WWC have boldly snubbed WCW, stating that they feel they are unfairly looked at as a minor league because of their arrangement to showcase development workers from WCW, and from now on that will not accept such arrangement. So obviously what's been happening in the previously is that WCW and WWC have been working together, and now WWC are like, nah, we're not doing that anymore. Forget it. Bob Orton Jr. leaving the business. A press release was sent out last night revealing that 47-year-old Bob Orton Jr. said to say goodbye to wrestling soon. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. This will once again, though, probably stop us going anywhere else. Bear with me 1 second. As you can imagine, the doorbell's just gone. As I say, apologies for that. I had something come to the door, which meant I had to go and get it and interrupted the recording, which means that the load screen is now finished. So let's just have a look at this news. Oh, that's the contract negotiations one man gan. So we've not actually skipped over too much time here. So, breath now. I have to go all the way down to the bottom of the stairs and get it and then come back up. So we're going to the next player control show. So yeah, I was looking at that situation in regards to number one contenders. I had this idea for luck of the draw anyway. So I was like, well, now's the time to invoke it, because I don't really want to put a heel versus heel match together for a title. I am trying to keep it heel babyface where I possibly can. And what's more is that, yeah, it just felt like the right time to have to bring in this show. So the idea behind all of the matches at Luck of the Draw is they will be randomly drawn, and that will include a Northwest title match, a Northwest tag team title match, and then a 6-man tag match and 2 other singles matches on the show. That's what we've got coming up for you. I will reveal the matches as we're booking, because I guess that's the closest I can come to giving you the same sort of surprises that the crowd would get in this instance. Miguel Perez Jr. has joined WWF. Marvelous. It's not a particularly big piece of news. FMW Arena Show, Atsushi Onita defeated Vader to retain the Brass Knucks title. Reasonably interesting. Okay, so let's go to this next event. Well, one thing I needed to do before I go any further, I'm just going to tweet Bruce Hart's gimmick because it's awful for a start, and also it was getting stale. So his gimmick has been tweaked. And here we go then. The next event, is Luck of the Draw. This will be, as I said, an annual event, which means that in the future I won't be able to suit it to a particularly convenient time in the calendar. It will just come up when it comes up. So I have to think about that in the future. So first match then to open the night is going to be Bruce Hart is going to be pulled out of the hat, and he will face Ace Darling. So this is, I got to be honest, I'm bringing in Ace Darling here just to fill a gap in the show. In fact, I'm going to make sure that he is. Oh, hang on. I am going to make sure that Ace Darling is a heel. What am I trying to do? Yeah, heel. And he is, so that's fine. So that's going to be the opening match. Bruce Hart versus Ace Darling. We'll make it work the crowd. We'll have a decisive win for Bruce Hart. And we'll have a pinfall finish. In fact, no, I'll go submission finish to start us off. So that's how the show begins. And then the next match will be the 6-man tag match. And the random drawing here will see Sean Stasiak, Keith Hart, and Buddy Wayne drawn together, and they'll be up against Bull. Sorry, not Bull. I keep forgetting his name's Barry. Barry Buchanan, the Ace Steel, his usual partner, and new arrival, the One Man Gang. But what's bizarre about this is that, well, I'd say bizarre. This is quite a competitive match. There's quite a few names in this, quite a few guys high up the rankings, or at least it's well established within this company. We're going to make this in a 12-minute match, and the winner is going to be, I think, Buddy Wayne, and the loser will be Ace Steel in this one. So that's how that one's going to go. The second match. The next match, then, the random drawing, will be Johnny Grunge against ECMO. We're going to make this one 9 minutes, and ECMO's going to win. I'm going to give him a tainted win here. Johnny Grunge is extremely unhappy. I don't really want him to be extremely unhappy. Let's keep strong. I don't really mind him being kept strong. Then we're going to have an angle after that, which is ECMO. ECMO says that he is going to make the Hart brothers pay. So obviously he's been sort of in a feud. Well, he has been in a feud with Keith and Bruce Hart. They're not going to be on screen for this one, but ECMO is basically promising to make them pay in the future. And then it's a time for the two big title matches. And the first of those, of course, is Bad Crew, Dog and Rose. And they are up against C.W. Anderson and Charlie Haas. So a slightly oddball tag team. They've been feuding for a long time. And of course, one of them's a heel and one of them's a babyface. But what's going to happen here, and this is going to be hard for me to maintain for this one, I think wanted it to go to we'll go 15 minutes to a now the problem. Let me explain what my brain is doing here. So I want this to be a draw, and I actually want it to be a time limit finish. But Bad Crew are terrible in terms of their stamina. So I'm trying to get away with making it a 15-minute time limit draw. But the other problem I've got in my head is that 15 minutes for a title match is not a time limit that is acceptable in my view. So I'm trying to square whether or not I'm happy to do this, even though, as I say, it would be against how I feel this should go. We're going to make it a slow build. And if these two, they can get through 15 minutes, I wonder if we can stretch it to 20. Only one of them's got a problem with the stamina. I'm going to go for this, I'm going to go for this. It's going to be a time limit finish, a time limit finish draw, 20 minutes for the RWR Northwest title, and CW Anderson and Charlie Haas will have given a pretty good account of themselves here in this one. And then the main event is going to be Dave Batista versus Kid Chaos for the title. James Storm you'll have seen still available on the roster, but I felt like, given the story we're trying to tell with him, which is that he's just lost to Kid Chaos in a match which meant he had to leave the company, that we would and our idea is to bring him back under a mask as if he's somebody else. I thought at the very least we should create a gap between appearances. It shouldn't be like he's on one show, he loses the match, and then the next show his new sort of gimmick shows up. It should be someone. There should be a gap. So the RWR Northwest title here, Dave Batista versus Kid Chaos. Now, even though this is a random drawing and Kid Chaos has not had to get enough points to make himself the number one contender for this match, he still will lose his points when Batista beats him here. So, yeah, this will still set Kid Chaos back in terms of his hopes of becoming the number one contender for the title, but overall, that's not too bad. In terms of one thing, so in terms of what I'm trying to do here, I'm just trying to figure out if there's anything storyline wise I need to add. So Buddy Wayne versus Batista, we've kind of done that story. I wasn't planning to make it any longer than what we had before, so I'm going to end that story. Charlie Haas versus CW Anderson, I'm going to keep because they're in a tag team match alongside each other today. That one's going to continue, obviously. I'm just going to change it so it's ECMO versus the Hart family. Or the Hearts, I guess we'll do. James Storm versus Kid Chaos. Now, this has ended. And, yeah, I don't know if we're going to... I'm going to leave that there for now. I don't need to change it, really. Now, is there any other stories I'm looking to do with the new arrivals? I don't think so. I think everything else is as I'm hoping for it to be. So we've only got 3 stories at the moment, so we've reduced that down a little bit recently, but I think it will pick up again in a not too distant future. So James Storm not on the show, and that is the event Luck of the Draw. So we're going to go with it now. And 88 people are here for this one. The opener, Bruce Hart versus Ace Darling. Not a bad match, actually, given that Ace Darling is making his first appearance for us as a jobber, and Bruce Hart was, Bruce Hart has not been particularly great in ring thus far. 5 minutes 52 seconds, a victory by Bruce Hart, for Bruce Hart, by submission with a heartbreaker leg lock. And Bruce Hart has an in-ring performance of 20, Ace Darling a 22. Ace Darling's old school heel gimmick got an initial rating of poor, but that doesn't matter. We don't intend to use him beyond this show. Segment rating of 21. In fact, let's just have a look at... oh, no, don't worry about that. So then we have Sean Stasiak, Keith Hart, and Buddy Wayne versus Barry Buchanan, Ace Steel, and One Man Gang. A match that goes 12 minutes 26 seconds and is won by the Babyfaces when Buddy Wayne pins Ace Steel. It's had a good overall segment rating of 32, and One Man Gang was an in-ring performance of 39. So a really cool start for him. Now I said I'm going to book him as like a monster heel, and you know what I've not done? I've not even checked whether I've even made him a heel here, which is typical of me. Continuously do this. I really need to kind of focus on that part when somebody new comes in, making sure that I've lined them up the way I want them to be. But anyway, he's come in an in-ring performance of 39. That's really good. I said I want him to be a monster heel, but I recognize they're losing this match. So my thing here was that, One Man Gang dominates for large parts of this match, but in the end, the babyfaces managed to get a victory over Ace Steel. Buddy Wayne was at 27, Stasiak at 34. That's about his best I think we've seen. Steele at 30, Barry Buchanan at 30. Only Keith Hart really wasn't really at the level of performance we want. So, and in fact, One Man Gang has debuted his monster gimmick, so I may have got very lucky there. The initial rating as well is very good. Segment rating of 32, cannot be unhappy with that at all. Very, very good match indeed. Then we have Johnny Grunge versus ECMO. Not particularly good performance from ECMO at 22. He has definitely been better than that in previous matches. Johnny Grunge was a 26. This one went for 9 minutes and 13 and was won by ECMO when he used underhanded tactics to beat Johnny Grunge, a segment rating of 23. Then after the match, ECMO addresses the Hart brothers, and he said that following recent events in the company, the Hart brothers will pay in the near future, and they better be watching their back. This one got a segment rating of 20. ECMO was very poor when trying to improvise dialogue, so a disappointment in this respect. The tag team match was awful. Segment rating of 16, obviously way too long for our fan base, too long for Dog and Rose, really. Charlie Haas and C.W. Anderson haven't really been able to show the sort of the quality and the ability to go long as well. So perhaps a real kind of failure of my booking here. But anyway, Bad Crew draw with C.W. Anderson and Charlie Haas in 20 minutes when the time limit expires. Rose and Dog 22 and 23. That's actually better than they've been most of the time. Charlie Haas only at 20, C.W. Anderson at 23. That continues their feud. I'm just looking through the rest of the notes. There seemed to be a lack of flow to the match, and that's to be expected with a segment rating with a match time of 20 minutes and these guys in it. Dog seemed off his game. Charlie Haas seemed off his game. Keith Hart wasn't a good enough road agent. We are definitely going to address that ahead of the next show that we do. And Dog was visibly tired towards the end. And then the main event, and again, a really poor match, actually, a segment rating of 20, which I kind of expected because Kid Chaos has not really shown the ability to have good matches. And you see, Batista was a 28, but Kid Chaos just a 17. Batista wins in 11 minutes and 19 seconds and makes defense number 5 of the RWR Northwest title in this one. I'm starting to think that given we've actually given Kid Chaos some good booking, I think, over the last 6 months or so, I think his feud with James Storm and all of that stuff, I think it might be time for us to start looking at what we do with Kid Chaos going forward. Possibly to start with, demoting him just into the proper jobber status that perhaps at one point I expected him to be, or maybe even just go full on release because he isn't performing, and the crowd are just not really taking to him as much as I'd like them to have done. So that's the end of the show. Not a good show, actually. It's going to be one of the poorest we've done in some while. Or overall rating of 22. The show increased our popularity in one region. I did actually think at one point of putting the 6-man tag match in the main event and having the title matches up front. But and that would have been a better idea given the quality of the 6-man tag match. But I didn't do that, and it's cost us a little bit. I mean, we still increased our popularity in one region, so probably hasn't cost us in any real way. So in terms of who I'm going to praise, or certainly the one-man gang, praise for a great performance. He was very, very good. I think we're going to also give Sean Stasiak a compliment, and I think Barry Buchanan is going to be complimented. So, yeah, the participants in that 6-man tag match are the ones that really did the job for us on this night. So that's the show. Charlie Haas has got a booking complaint, which is not great. I mean, our morale issues are kind of growing here a bit. Well, no, they're not. No, they're okay. There's only 3 of them on there, and that's mainly due to poor turns and poor organisation, really. Thankfully, One Man Gang is exactly as we want him to be, which is a heel and working a monster gimmick. And as I say, his first performance for the company was very, very good indeed. Just checking on the size, that's not changed. Just checking on the titles. The Northwest title here, Dave Batista holds the title. That was the worst defense of this title since Michael Morris versus Emo all the way back in March '97. So not the best, but not down to the champion at least. Financially, well, we're okay. We're going to be fine, aren't we? So let's move on to the end of the month, and what we'll do at the end of the month, because we've still got some time, is we will hire ourselves a road agent. I think it's absolutely time. It's been time for a while, but I think at this point, there's no reason for me to delay it anymore. We're making more than enough money to cover the fee that we'd have to pay for the whoever it is. we're going to be looking for someone who can ensure we don't get that message anymore about the road agent being poor, because both Bruce and Keith Hart are just not kind of living up to the quality that I need, and I think they are actually holding the product back now, which is a shame. So that's going to be addressed. We're also going to probably try and find. Well, say we're going to find. We will. We might try and find a replacement for Ace Darling, or we might use him for one more show. I don't exactly know everything that I'm going to do in the next show, but I do know what the main event's going to be. So one of the things I tried to manufacture as part of that Luck of the Draw show was to not give the Bad Crew a victory and to not give uh, Barry Buchanan a victory, because they are currently the wrestlers on 7 points. But we did give Sean Stasiak a victory, and he's now up to 7 points as well. So that is going to be the headline match for the next show: Dave Batista versus Sean Stasiak for the title. Don't know what that next show is going to be called yet, but that will be the main event for November's event. And underneath that, we're also going to have the tag team titles on the line, as Bad Crew will defend against the Hart Brothers. So that's going to be the other big one. That's the Hart Brothers getting the title shot that theoretically they earned, although not officially, I suppose, with their victory in the Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza. So that's a pretty big match as well. Although again, I don't expect the quality to be over impressive. We're going to have James Storm debut in his masked gimmick against somebody. We're also going to give One Man Gang his first singles match in the company. I don't know the rest of the makeup of that show yet. I will need to consider, what we do with that. But yeah, I think those four things you can expect at least on the next event that we put on. And we've just about arrived at the beginning of November. There's nothing. Oh, Halloween Havoc. Let's have a quick look at that. Hulk Hogan defeated Randy Savage in the main event. Lex Luger defeated Sting. For some reason, the WCW title, though, is not being defended here, which is bizarre. I can't remember who the champion is in WCW. Let's just have a look. So it's currently Ric Flair, and he just didn't defend it. He beat Rey Mysterio Jr. in September. Yeah, at the end of September. So, okay, and that was the last time the title was on the line as well. So that's a bit weird. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to look at this now. Let's have a look and find this road agent, because we really do need one, and we need one that's good. You know, um, doesn't matter where he's based as long as he can work in the US. I think that's all I need to do, really. I mean, I guess we need to get this up as high as we can. Let's start with 100 and 100. I don't know if that's possible. Uh, so yeah, I mean, look, Dory Funk Jr. 2000. I'm tempted. Pat Patterson, 400 per show at 57 years old, and he's unemployed. I mean, I'm absolutely tempted to bring him in. What's happened here? Insults. Roddy Piper gave an online interview yesterday and totally buried Pat Patterson. Um, I won't go into why that might have been, because it could be a bit mad. Ricky Steamboat as well, $800. Tempted to go for Ricky Steamboat. Tempted to go for. I'm going to go Pat Patterson because he's because he's cheap. I mean, 400 per show is right down my alley. Apologies, I just had to cough. I'm going to do it. I'm bringing in Pat Patterson. I think he is. Yeah, I think he is the man for us to work behind the scenes. Um, Cheap, should be good. He's got psychology, experience, respect, reputation. I mean, if we can't put on better quality of matches with Pat Patterson as our road agent, then we are in trouble. I think what I will do just to match that is to pull Keith Hart from being a road agent and also do the same with Bruce. I think we kind of need to stop them being involved. So Pat Patterson would be our our road agent for that show, the next show coming up. No idea what I'm going to call this one. I'll probably deal with that on the next episode. But thank you very much for watching today. If you've liked this video, please do give us a like, and we'll catch you the next time.